Are Ugandans aware of their internet freedoms? What do we think of the proposed data protection bill? MTN rebates customers goodbye to unsolicited messages. But was it a pure stunt? Or is it worth our dime? We bring you the fix of the most intriguing technology, digital culture, and stories from the past few days. Welcome to the Techjaja podcast, episode 2. I'm your host, Roger Bambino.
Our co-host, Robert Sebunya, and let's get started. Ladies first.
Morning. My name is Ashnah, Kalemera. I work with the Collaboration on International ICT Policy for East and Southern Africa, that's CPESA in short.
Good day, everybody. My name is Juliet Nanfuka. I work alongside Ashnah at CPESA, and I'm with their communications function.
And
James Will is my name, having problems introducing myself because I have multiple personalities. But I'm a patriotic Ugandan with a lot of ICT technology interest and agriculture, I must say.
I think, James, let's get your seat on this show all the time because there was good feedback last time. And
Okay.
He also speaks Spanish, French, and Germany, and a couple of other languages. I guess one of the next shows should be in Germany or something of the sort. So let's get started. What are internet freedoms, and what internet freedoms do you have in Uganda?
Internet freedoms are no different from the actual offline freedoms. So the basic human rights that you enjoy in your everyday life translated into the internet or use of mobile. Things like freedom of assembly, freedom of association, freedom of speech, press freedom, privacy and security. Those rights and freedoms that exist offline basically should apply online. So when you translate them onto the online sphere, that's when they become internet freedoms.
Do we have any possible violations of internet freedoms in Uganda that you can cite?
There have been cases in the past of violations of user rights. There was a case of the Walk to Work protests back in 2011, where the opposition was mobilizing for protesters against inflation, and they were doing it on social media, Facebook and Twitter. That's where they were mobilizing citizens. And there was a directive from the regulator to ISPs to shut down Facebook and Twitter for 24 hours to obviously abate the protests. So that is a violation of internet freedoms in the sense that individuals' right to assembly and association is being violated online, as well as free speech.
But more recently, probably an example that people are more familiar with is the Desire Luzinda case that is probably still ringing fresh in people's mind. It was the dissemination of her private information through an ICT that is commonly used. So offline, that would be a problem. It's like throwing her out naked. So online, it's a problem because not just only do the immediate people in the space hear about it, but everybody in Uganda and beyond gets to have this information, but beyond that, they get to keep that information about us. So it's a case that of infringement of her privacy. It's her basic right as a woman. There's women's rights that's also problematic in this particular case. There's also an element of defamation online as well.
But currently she's making a lot of money out of it. You know that?
It's been used, PR.
I was in Jinja last weekend, and trust me, she was on a show and people went gaga over her because she's trying to she has a song called Chitone or something, and she's using the whole song to promote herself and whatever pictures that leaked. So I think at the end of the day, this looked like something which is positive on her side.
They say make the best of a bad situation.
True.
But the sad thing about it is that it remains online, unless we get this right to be forgotten aspect to come around in some, whenever it does.
Europe has handled that. I don't think we're able to handle that right now as Africa.
Right now, but that information remains online.
Okay,
it's something that as an individual, you do have your own. You'd like some facets to remain in the back pages
and
of
she's
your book.
probably got to make money to save for legal fees when she's sued pursuant to the Anti-Pornography Act for production, transmission, and dissemination of pornographic content.
Yeah.
Well said. So James, which kind of internet freedoms do we have in Uganda that have been violated that you would want to cite? And what kind of publicity campaigns can be taken to cap them down?
I think, first of all, in Uganda today, even before we get to internet freedoms, just the general freedoms of people, a number of them are questionable. When you look around, you hear what is being done to different individuals, and you wonder why certain actions are being taken against them. You start questioning whether actually there is general respect for basic freedoms as enshrined by the UN Charter. When we go online, lately I've not really seen anything very serious worth pointing out, to be honest. What I might end up pointing out is years old and have been forgotten already. But I remember the very crucial one which first flagged off everything was the radio cutaway. Yeah. That was 2006.
I was in primary school.
2006.
You're very young.
You are in primary school.
Very young boy. But around that, okay?
Yeah, it was 2006.
Yeah. So that to me was the first indicator that things can potentially go wrong. But although I'm happy that with the growth of technology today, we can easily overcome many of these attempts.
Okay, so I think Radio Cutaway is still existent, though it's no longer with the previous content. I think someone else bought the domain and they're using it for their own good.
I have no idea.
Yeah, so as from CPESA, do we have any local domains that have been blocked or that have been filtered out from the market here in Uganda?
Not according to the test that we undertook in partnership with the Citizen Lab at the University of Toronto. So using a tool we use two tools. There's one called the Raspberry Pi and the second one called RTato. So you develop a set of databases of websites, both local and international, and you run it against this tool. And we didn't find any evidence of blockages in Uganda compared to countries like Ethiopia, where a great majority of websites are blocked.
Do you think the social media monitoring unit that the Minister of Security was suggesting to be set up last year is relevant?
That social media monitoring center, I mean, he made the announcement, yes, on live television, and it's been broadcast, but there is no evidence to suggest that the center has been set up. There is no evidence to suggest that it existed, and there is no evidence to suggest that they are going to procure equipment to actually set it up. I'll use an example of Kenya, where the culture is very problematic online in issues of hate speech, and they're struggling to control hate speech online. So in a scenario like that, one would suggest that a monitoring center is required, because those platforms are being used to abuse and to mobilize based on ethnic grounds, and even in Rwanda, during the genocide, media was one of the tools that was used to promote divisive language. So the monitoring center, I wouldn't say it exists. I don't know if it does. But there are scenarios, not probably in the Ugandan context, but outside, that it may be a useful thing to have.
James, do you think it's relevant?
First of all, I think what the minister mentioned was hogwash. I don't think they have the capacity to be able to do that.
Okay.
But secondly, Ashnah rightly states that some cases you may want such a center to be in place, but sometimes there are certain things you want to avoid because the potential of abuse is higher than the potential for good use. When you bring out the issue of the hate speech, like is happening in Kenya, it's true, and it can cause a lot of concern. But I think there are other ways of ensuring that the very participants in the online community can do the monitoring. Because something like Twitter, for example, assuming, let's say, the hate speech is on party lines, you have people from the different parties on Twitter. So if I see something that is not right, and I'm aware that this is not right, then I can probably have a point where I can try and report. But then also, government is a bit confused in the way it's implementing some of these things. Every different ministry, every different department is claiming to come up with something cyber. And that causes confusion because one don't have the adequate human resource. Okay? So if only they can probably come up with a centralized operation, and so this operation will have the following.
I thought that's what NITA does, basically.
No.
It's the central operation. Am I mistaken?
No. I mean, if the minister spoke in terms of internal security and intelligence, then of course NITA would absolutely have nothing to do with that.
And then police tomorrow will say in their own terms also. Then another day UCC, like the SAT issue.
Yeah.
UCC SAT. Then NITA, bit of confusion here.
I think, as you say, there should be one central body in the government to look at the whole cyber, the whole thing, and deal with it. Because why isn't this happening?
Well, that happened with the NSA. Look where that got to the Americans. You want the same?
So it's better to split it up to different departments or the government departmental bodies?
Well, essentially, everyone has their mandate.
Yeah.
Everyone has their provisions in terms of resources, human resources, or financial capacity to undertake different functions within government. But I think in the case of this monitoring center, sometimes it goes beyond government. It's the culture of the people. Society is, in some cases, very divided. You have a lot of language out there, even in normal working environments, where people will discriminate against whether it's gender, ethnicity. So some of those issues are not going to be addressed by technology.
True.
I mean, it's down to the people.
Which reminds me, I think 3 weeks back or something, there was a big headline in New Vision talking about how government has put like a set of rules for civil servants on how to use Facebook and all that. I don't know, how far with that? Have they implemented it anyway?
The guidelines are
The
there.
guidelines, yeah.
The social
Nita
media
U has
guidelines.
done quite a good job in terms of coming up with some of this preliminary information and policies. But as to the implementation, that's another story altogether. But the guidelines actually do exist.
Oh, quick one. We should shift to cybersecurity. Are there any recommendations that you'd give the government in terms of several government websites have been attacked and hacked by different bodies like Anonymous? James Wire, which suggestions do you have for the government?
Apparently, just this week I did blog on that on wirejames.com. And
Is your name Wire or Willie? I'm getting very disturbed by this pronunciation of Wire.
Spell it and pronounce it.
The Americanized English way, African way. So there's A-E-I-O-U and A-E-I-O-U. So
you just have to get used to it. I flow between, depending on the audience. I know there are some guys from Europe. So if I say Weeray, they're like, is it W-E-E-R-A-Y? So whichever, anyway. And what I actually highlighted, I gave a number of scenarios, if you read the post, of how easy it is for us to be victims of these cyber attacks. Simple things like simply getting to a hotel room and signing on onto your laptop with the Wi-Fi that is available. And an update comes, or update your Adobe Acrobat, this and the other, and you click yes. And in the
You're
background, stuff goes on that you have no idea about. And all of a sudden, the state secrets you have on your laptop, assuming you're an army general, they are being siphoned away. Okay? So, what as government, I think we need to do, one, is as we are in the way we are investing a lot in military, especially in terms of buying fighter jets and all these bombs, the future of warfare is going electronic. Okay? So we need to start putting a lot more in terms of arming ourselves with cyber guards. Chaps that understand IT, chaps that understand electronic communication down to its detail, so they can be able to combat some of these hack groups and all that. Because tomorrow, the gate bill is going to probably be passed.
You're pointing in Robert, when you're talking about
sorry.
hackers. I don't know why.
The gate bill is probably going to be passed in this December. They say there's a Christmas, whatever, package for us. After that, you're going to see all these anonymous chaps coming up, breaking into our sites like they're eating popcorns. And we don't seem to be ready for that. Nita U's website was hacked just a week ago or two.
But these are powerful individuals, James. When you talk about the Anti-Pornography Act in the sense, when those hackers, I think the Anonymous International, whatever they're called, they have the resources to do whatever they want internationally for a cause. It's a bit like animal rights or FARS, people that don't like FARS. So to compete against some of these institutions that have made it their passion and they've dedicated their time and efforts to just promoting their causes, it goes beyond just ensuring that the government has the technical capacity. So should it not pass laws that anger someone in the Antarctic region or
Actually, I don't say that they don't pass these laws, but what I'm trying to say here is that you claim they are powerful. What makes them powerful? The same thing which makes them powerful can make us powerful. Many of these chaps hacking around here and there, they don't even have PhDs. Yeah. Some probably don't even have first degrees. It's interest and passion and having facilities available.
A bunch of tools that are available online for anyone to use.
I believe Ugandan chaps are up to the ability to be able to match them pound for pound. Why don't they, for example, hack Russian websites? Because the Russians have guys who are out there working with government, and not that they're even being paid by government. And even here in Uganda, I know there are guys you can get who don't even have to be paid, but they'll be willing to match these hackers.
So the 20% internet users of our population, and then how much of that fraction do you think can compete with the billions that are in China or elsewhere?
We'll take the last two questions. Quick one from Sipesa, and then James. What is your take on little local content online? Why do we have little local Ugandan content online?
Well, one, it has been, first of all, our African nature. Africa, I don't know what happened. If you read history, we were good at creating content. Way back, Stone Age, you find all those paintings,
but not written,
in the caves.
Mostly oral tradition.
But you see, even the paintings, that was already written, okay? Then we had a disconnect. I don't know why and when it came up, okay? And I still don't understand that up to today. However, later on, we had to wait until the whites came with their, Roman, whatever, Arabic scripts, and we began trying to write. But still, we're still on oral most of the times. For me, I believe that any person who is above 20 and has not written a book, you still have a very big debt to pay. If you've not even written a blog, you have a worse debt to pay. If you've not, so we have to all start getting to that habit. Simple. So I'm glad that of late a number of Ugandans are responding to that, and you can notice that there's quoted storipot, which I know we're going to talk about that. Yeah. But you notice that the number of blogs of Ugandans coming online today is a lot more. Even the books. When I walk to Aristoc today, I am glad to see at least 10 to 15 Ugandan authors competing with the global brands.
Okay.
All right. So, and lastly, to Sipesa, any recommendation for child online protection or child online safety?
We were speaking about this with Daisy earlier on. So the issue with online use with children, again, the same human rights or freedoms that they are guaranteed constitutionally or in charters across the world, things like protection from abuse, whether it's sexual or physical, should also apply online. And unfortunately, in the online sphere, unless there are safeguards in place in terms of parental controls or an education or parental guidance that tells children, this is not good for you, this is good for you. Avoid cyberbullying the same way you avoid bullying in schools. And it's an awareness within both the parents and the children as well, but also taking the technical measures to ensure that they're not exposed to harmful content.
Well, that was a good conversation. From we were talking about internet security, cyber security basically, and internet freedoms. And now we're going to a different topic. Actually, we had two topics to talk about. I think let's have discuss this for a very short time before we head into a big topic. We have recently our friends at Dignited launched storipot to talk about basically a one-stop shop for all tech blogs in Uganda. Technology, lifestyle, photography, whatever you have. So I recommend everyone to go and check it out. Maybe James, you have something to talk about that storipot?
Beautiful idea. I must say I give it up to them because it's probably the best thing to happen to the blog sphere in Uganda in 2014. And I don't see anything else surpassing them for the next 1 year or so, unless guys are always
maybe
innovating.
Next 3 weeks, because you said for the year.
Yeah, no, I mean until the end of this year, I don't really see that is really good news. The fact that you go to one site and you go to the category of interest, and then you quickly see what people are blogging about in the different categories. So, for example, you may be interested in Ugandan cuisine. And then you go there under lifestyle probably or whatever it is, and you all of a sudden start seeing all these guys. How would you have known that they existed in the first case? And I also like the fact that it has automated the actual
Renting of content.
Curation.
Content
creation. Yeah.
creation. So the minute you post your blog and you're listed in their database, automatically it picks your new blog, and that is great because it's also going to promote our blogs further.
True.
So to me, it's really a good job.
For those who have no idea, Storipot launched yesterday, and to reach it, you go to Storipot, STORI, POT, and you'll know what it's all about. Next, last month, there was a very big upload from the MTN subscribers who almost threatened to strike and boycott the network. Why were they striking? Poor quality services, spam SMSs, and scrupulous data charges. Early this month, the MTN CEO, Brian Goldie, I don't know what's the pronunciation of the name, something close to that,
Yes,
Brian
that's
Goldie, called a press conference that MTN was ready to refund, they call it rebate, all the data that was lost from the internet data that was lost from by the customers, and they also promised to fight spam SMSs. The company also said that they have refunded over 778 million Ugandan shillings worth of lost airtime. So my question to you, has anyone experienced this anyway in the studio? Have we been victims of these spam SMSs, scrupulous data charges, or anything close to that, Robert?
Well, from the information from their corporate office, they talked about only 3 million customers are on data. So only 3 million customers from MTN use data, according to MTN.
Yeah.
And they go on to say that only 4,500 something people were affected.
I doubt.
And from the look
I
of
doubt.
things, that's how the corporate office was trying to paint it out there, that, it's only about 4,500 people that were affected. And those are the people, according to them, who are able to, get this 768 million Uganda
Just
shillings.
a lot of money.
Yeah, which
everyone.
I actually don't believe it. So I think it's a bigger number.
Yeah.
But 3 million Ugandans only on MTN using data, I think that's a very small number. I thought it's about 6 million people.
Well, I think because we know their biggest cash cow is mobile money, based on the last results they released. So how come we are having only 3 million Ugandans out of the 10 million they have in the entire having this issue? Because remember, there's also spam SMSs. That is, I know, James, you wrote about this very detailed in your blog post. Maybe you'd like to talk about the spam SMS, because we're provoking you to say things.
Let's first deal with the issue of the rebate.
Okay.
You want to?
On the spam, well, I don't know much about the whole data saga. I know I got a refund. I don't know where it came from. I wasn't in the country, but I got a text message that.
So this is a very good example. This means they were just giving out data to anyone, irrespective.
How much did you get?
About 3,200 credit. It was a credit refund, not a data, refund. Yeah.
So we shall talk after this, maybe. We shall.
Wait, who else in the room? Did you also get a refund?
I did get a refund of about 31,000 or so.
Wow.
Yeah, but I'm a heavy data user, by the way. On a daily basis, if you go across the various lines I have, I probably use about almost 30 to 40,000 shillings on a daily basis.
Do you feel the 30,000 was worth it? Do you think it's what you lost?
No, I think I lost much more, but I have no way of verifying and proving that. Okay, but
And there are apps to do that?
They are there actually, but sometimes you get caught up. Like the way they used to steal the data, not stealing, okay, the way it was affecting us was you try to load a data package, and then it says cannot load. You do the second time, it doesn't. Third time, it doesn't. Fourth time, then you give up. Okay. Now in the evening, all of a sudden you get 4 accepted whatevers that giving you data, 4 of them. It happened to a friend of mine, and they deducted 325,000 shillings.
Oops, that's a big amount.
325,000.
Wow.
Because he was trying to load the 2 GB, and he was doing it about 6 times or something. And boom, 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 boom.
So,
okay?
You checked up on him, now he has all his...
Actually, I forgot. I wish I had checked up on him. But I will do that. They did refund. Thank you so much. But I think if I do just a quick mathematics, they claim only 4,000 were affected. It cannot be only 4,000. Let's be very practical. 3.5 million users of data on MTN. Okay? An understatement would be 100,000. An understatement.
True.
Now, if we take let's say it was 700 million that they refunded, slash off the zeros. How many guys in the countryside lost data they even never knew they were losing before? There are many. I know that. When I do my researches in the north and all that, there are villagers who use data by their own MTN.
True.
And they pay for it. But they don't even know when they've lost.
Right.
Okay? So that's more of a PR gimmick. But I thank them for the little
But
that
I
I
think we should also be a
Nevertheless.
bit realistic and not always think that these corporate companies are out to make a profit. The numbers that you're saying
Come
are
on.
probably possible if you take the case of how the average Ugandan affording 3,000 shillings for a daily data bundle. That for some people that earn less than $1 a day, they would not be in that category. To also have to buy a data bundle, you have to have a smartphone. A lot of people still have feature phones. So MTN can have subscriber numbers that are in hundreds of millions, but it's possible that the majority who are in the rural areas have feature phones. So the data category is beyond them. They're
Well,
the same people that can't afford
I'll get from
3,000
the
a
point
day.
of a technologist. I think the biggest problem with this comes from double loading, like loading airtime so many times, and the problem is actually USSD. So MTN's technology department needs to come up with a new way of allowing people load airtime instead of doing the same thing over and over again. You said staff 150 hash and you do it over and again because USSDs cannot be able to tell you that now stop, you've already loaded that. If they had some other way of people loading airtime and then it tells, okay, you've already done this, so you can stop now.
Yeah, which
And
is a technological failure, and it happens all the time.
I know.
A
What
car
I'm saying
can
is they're
break down.
continuing with the same technological failure, and
I want to give you a hint on that, and I won't reveal much because I have my fly on the wall somewhere. MTN is staying glued to the past. Okay? The refusal to start using more advanced technologies in terms of accessing these services, okay, is internal. Technologies like IP could do a better job than the USSD they're sticking on to. Even people within MTN, they will confess to you one-on-one and say, look, some of these things we can do. But what the hell if the company is still interested in doing things a certain way? And you can justify, you may say, okay, fine, because USSD can easily go on feature phone, so we don't have to go to IP. But no, if you have 3.5 million data users, chances are 80% are using smartphones.
true.
Okay? Now, those are people whose ARPU, the average rate per ARPU, the average rate per user. That's how much the revenue you get per user from those standards. You can look it up on the net. The ARPU for a data stroke voice user is probably 5-6 times that of a mere voice user. That can justify you investing a little more in the newer technologies to make the lives of those users better.
MTN is the only company in Uganda that has what they call an IMS, an IP multimedia it's called subsystem. It's a system which is fully integrated IP, and you can put on any IP-related service on it. It's like a feature. It's a future system, a switch actually, if I can call it, whereby but they're underutilizing it, if I'm to tell you. So why they're not using it the way they are supposed to, I have no idea.
But you guys are being classic men with toys and saying all these fancy words.
If you have a toy, use it.
No. Think about it. Yes, they can invest in this newer modern technology.
They already have the technology.
Think about it. The electricity grid in Uganda is not as wide as it is. If they were to invest in that technology, they have to make sure it's secure. They have to put fuel to run it. Sometimes it's not. Things are possible.
Let's go to spam SMS. We're running out of time. Let's go to spam SMS right now and answer the message. What do we think about this? Because just a brief. Have they stopped? Are they still there? What's our feeling?
I think, sorry, Juliet here. It ties back to what we've just been debating. MTN is driven by a profit line.
True.
Okay,
Yeah.
So it goes back to the decision on whether to use USSD or the IMS, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the same thing goes for the spam SMSs. They make money, okay? So as long as there's an opportunity, an avenue to make money, those will continue. Granted, there'll be laws that come out that, yes, you have the option to opt out.
Yeah.
Whether users will actually be aware and actually utilize that function will remain in their domain. And as long as they keep making money, that will carry on.
Yeah. James, what do you think?
Well, with spam, I did activate the 196, but interestingly, I still occasionally get spam here and there.
No.
And I'm waiting to see UCC bite on that. I did write about it. UCC, we are waiting to see you bite. But also, my biggest disappointment is that you notice we've been talking about on the MTN.
Yeah.
Why? Because the competition is hopeless.
True.
The other day when MTN's mobile money system was bonkers, people tried to use the one of Airtel, it could not even handle. So to me, that is a very big disappointment. And that is why probably MTN even doesn't feel the need to do more. Because I mean, if a 5-year-old kid is trying to shadow box with you, you just look at it and say, well, you can box my legs. Nothing will hurt me anyway.
Well, I think the bigger picture is what UCC did or what it does. It allows a few major, service providers send certain messages. So not all messages are stopped. Let's say government messages about health, Ebola outbreak and stuff like that will always go through. And I think it's going to be a loophole that is going to be misused during the elections.
Robert, sometimes that takes us back to the internet freedom debate and privacy and security. A lot of us disclose our telephone numbers to various databases out there. And they're collected, actively being collected by people not MTN and people not UCC and people not Electoral Commission. And those databases are sold as a resource.
True.
And then the messages go out. So sometimes it's not the service provider, it's another content provider who's collecting these.
Yeah, I think we've run out of time right now, and it has been a very good talk, and I'm sure we should call all our guests back to discuss these topics further. I'd love to ask all our guests to give an outro about themselves as we conclude this. The ladies from Sipesa.
This has been my first time to be in this environment to see what happens.
It's only our second episode. It's just beginning.
Yeah, so it's interesting. It's fun.
All right. James,
No, it's a pity we didn't get to talk about the data privacy.
Come on, you're here next week, so you'll be around with us.
I wanted us to split it to the core.
James is an employee here,
It's always good to come here. It's always good to share, and it's always good to create content that's local.
You could also tell us, James, could you tell us the last one about the ICT Association of Uganda and your role there?
My role, I don't think my role is very important. But Uganda has an ICT association that brings together all ICT enthusiasts, lovers, and practitioners. And you can go to ictau.ug and learn more from that. For me in particular, again, wirejames.com, wirejames.com, or at wirejames.
It was a very great show. Robert Sebunya, you can catch me on Twitter at Sebunya Robert UG. Very long one, I guess.
It's very long.
Must be the long one. I'm about to cut it short, though.
All right, that's good. Yeah. And Roger Bambino, Rojek on Twitter. That is ROGEKK at Techjaja on Twitter. And thank you for coming for our podcast. Till next time, adios.